And we haven't really talked about this on our show, even with hundreds and hundreds of episodes. Gosh, parenthood is really hard. Like here I'm thinking that allergies are tough. Now I might have a kid that either won't live, cyst on the brain, hole in the heart.
Oh my goodness.
The liver isn't connected, like all these things. I'm like, my baby, like my child. No, this can't be. This wasn't part of what you guys had thought was going to happen. And we're going to love this baby. Like you guys are going to be such great parents. We're going to love this baby. And we're being like, I'm tearing up thinking about it. We're gonna be like, you know what? We are.
He is a miracle.
Like such a miracle, like such a miracle. These kids are seriously miracles.
The most important factor to a healthy well-being is feeling connected. Welcome to From There to Here, a safe place where we will explore some of life's adventures so that you do not feel alone.
We have a fabulous guest with us today, Abby. Abby, thanks for coming on. We are going to start off with, yes, it's going to be so much fun. And it's so much fun to start out every episode with how we are finding the joy in our lives and how we are overcoming any fear that we may have. So I am going to ask my co-host, Jess, what's in your heartland?
This was an easy one for me today, but it's sort of simple. But watching Christmas season unfold through my 3-year-old's eyes is seriously the best thing ever. I know like people have mixed feelings about the elf, and
I think we talked about this last year
too, but I love the elf and love having him do little shenanigans and watch Jude find him in the morning. And it's just so much fun. I don't know. I saw on a mom page recently, somebody posted like, oh, my kid really wants the elf. Like, should I get it? Should I not? And I'm like, obviously, like, you got to draw a line if that's going to be too much for you, right? But I'm like, don't miss out. Don't miss out on your child being little. This is going to be this tiny little blip of time, and it's going to be gone. And then they're not.
And then they're like Brielle, and they don't believe anymore.
You do the elf, Abby.
So we don't do the elf because we got 3 elves. So we got 3 elves this year because I'm like, what are you supposed to do? My mother-in-law actually got us 3 elves. And then our littlest, Owen, who we will be talking about today, he is 4 and has Down syndrome. And his new favorite thing to do is crawl on top of a nightstand, like a little stand, go onto our mantle and grab out the elves. So he grabs the elves and then brings them down. And then when he brings them down, our dog chews them up. So for that reason, and then if you touch an elf, it's supposed to not work. Like that's like the whole thing. So now his big sister there had been blaming him, saying the magic of Christmas is gone because Owen keeps touching them. And so we have to calm them down, being like, you know what, Owen's actually, the Christmas doesn't work with him. It actually, the magic still works because he just doesn't know. So the best part about it is that it's not his fault. So that's been kind of one of the things. Yes. So we have 1 remaining elf right now, and we are keeping it as safe as possible because as soon as our dog finds that elf, it is
it's over.
So whether Owen or the dog.
Yes. They both
I was wondering if I thought you had other kids, and I was wondering how they would handle self getting touched.
Yes.
That,
it was,
follow that rule.
Our 8-year-old, when she found it, like the pain in her face, like the fear. Touch the elf. And I didn't know that was a rule. And then I had to quickly go to Google. I was like, oh, okay, I can get out of this one. I can get out of this.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Funny. What, Shannon? What's in your heartlands?
I am just sharing the joy of like still having really close friends from high school, growing up together. We still have our girls' nights together, and we have a text messaging group. I don't know, what do you call those? But it's at least 2 a day of these just ridiculous, stupid reels that we send each other. And I'm sure like if you were anybody else, maybe you would be annoyed by like getting 2 reels a day or potentially more, but I find it hilarious, and it just brings me joy that like we're just still silly and fun. Yeah, yes. I'm very lucky. Yeah.
Abby, how about you? What's in your heartland?
I'm going to say my morning routine. And it seems so silly, but I mean, if you have little kids, you don't get a morning routine every day. And
No.
I am type A to my core. I love consistency. I love like knowing a plan. And in parenthood, especially with 3 kids, the one having special needs, knowing I can count on my morning routine 5 days a week. So every weekday, it's only a 20, 30-minute morning routine where I take the dog for a walk and I come back and, have breakfast and then get ready. But it literally just brings me so much joy. So very simple, yet I know that not every season of parenthood allows it. And I'm finally in a season where it allows it.
Yay.
You've made it.
I've made it. We've made it.
Yes. My best friend and I were just talking, I think it was last night, about how like you get to this point then with your husband or your spouse and you're like, wow, like we've made it. Our kids are older and can do things and we don't have to watch them 100% of the time.
And then you get pregnant with twins.
Yes, you did.
Like, we were like there. I was
We're
there.
not
And then
but yeah.
it's like, oh man, starting over. That's okay. If you have a heart lens that you would like to share with us, please do so on any of the social media platforms you see us. Our website has a button where you can share via a Google Doc. You can email us. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, listeners, as you know, we have a guest with us today. Abby Green is her name, and she is a co-host of the Herself podcast. And that's how Shannon and I actually came across her and her story. If you haven't listened to the Herself podcast, there are hundreds of episodes, so make sure to go take a listen. But she's not here to talk to us about her podcast. She is here to talk to us about one of her babies. And as our listeners know, Shannon and I went through years and years of infertility before getting pregnant and before Shannon got pregnant. I did, and then I didn't, but and then we went through, both of us going through adoption. But we were curious before we dive in to the story of Owen, which you alluded to earlier. How just that journey of motherhood was for you to even get there? What was the behind the scenes? Did you want to be a mom, right? Did you always know you weren't going to want to be a mom? Was it easy to get pregnant? Just tell us what happened first.
Yeah. Well, and Jessica and Shannon, this is a good question because I don't get asked this very often. And we haven't really talked about this on our show, even with hundreds and hundreds of episodes. The backstory of this motherhood experience wasn't really part of those episodes. So I love starting with this question because it's not something that many people besides my closest friends know. And the story goes is that I didn't know if I ever wanted kids. I didn't even know if I wanted to be in partnership with somebody. Like I am a person who's an individual. I like a plan and sticking to it. I'm a person who I know what I want. I like control. And so having even a partner living with you, having a roommate living with you, you can't even do that, much less having kids. And I was really career focused, we all know that now. I was really career focused. I enjoyed traveling. I enjoyed, being able to sleep in when I wanted to, being able to get workouts in when I wanted to. So the idea of kids, I'm like, well, why would I do that? That literally impedes upon every little thing. All the things that are important to me, you can't really do that easily with kids. And then I met a man and fell in love with this man, and this man wanted kids. So my husband, Colin, is just a natural father. He is just giving, and he is generous, and he is patient. He is kind. He's loved kids forever and ever. And as I got to know him more, and as we went through dating and heard all of his stories and heard how much he wanted to have kids, I'm like, you know what? I could have this man's kids. I could have this person's kids. And so we did. And because I'm type A and because I have a plan, of course, having kids is going to be the exact same, right? You want to have kids, you choose to have kids, and then you do the things to have kids, and then you get the positive pregnancy test, right? Right? That's what you do.
Yes, that is exactly how it's supposed to work.
Type A person over here thinking that's
so you
exactly
get that.
how that was going to go.
Yes.
And so month 1 of trying, I'm like, okay, so if I'm ovulating this day and this is the day I'll get my positive pregnancy test, which means baby will be born in September. We always wanted a September baby because they'll be the oldest in their grade. They'll be the tallest. They'll be, I'm like very analytical with this. So planned everything out. And then I got my period and I was like, oh,
this was not in the plan.
Hold on a minute. Okay. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And that's the immediate thought that came to my mind. I was devastated. And it was 1 month in. If I were to go back and tell that version of myself, I would say this is going to be a long process. It's going to come with a lot of ebbs and flows. There's going to be challenges along the way because it took almost a year for us to get our first positive pregnancy test. Oh, so wow, okay. It was month after month after month and I'm not a person who takes tests early. I just pretend that I'm pregnant until my period tells me otherwise. I know not many people are like that, but I think I've only taken like 6 pregnancy tests in my entire life. 3 of them being with each of our 3 children and then a couple extras along the way. And every month I'm like, what am I doing wrong? What is he doing wrong? And we fought so much. Like we had a healthy relationship. We had a strong relationship. We were not resentful of each other. We didn't disagree on many things. And then the act of trying to get pregnant literally changed our relationship. It was the hardest part in our relationship. And we've been married almost 11 years now. We've been together for 13 years, and that was easily the hardest year of our entire marriage. When we finally did get pregnant, it was the most wonderful day of my life. It was my best friend's wedding. My husband was officiating the wedding. And I literally took a pregnancy test early because I'm like, well, I'm either going to drink right now or I'm not going to drink. Yeah. That was literally the reason I took it early. And I'm like, I don't want to be let down again, but you know what? Whatever, because it's been a year and my friend's getting married. So whatever, I'll just drink so much champagne that I'll forget. And it was positive. I'm like, are you kidding me? I remember like being in the bathroom of that hotel room, like sinking down, first morning urine, like no one's awake. And I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Like, this has been such a long time coming. What do I do? And I waited to tell my husband. I went for a walk by myself. Like I prayed a whole lot. I was so thankful. Just like took in the world and came back and he was awake. And like I did the whole thing of like, oh my gosh, like guess what's going on? And so it was a really special day. And then and in third, I thought the same thing was going to happen. I thought it was going to be a long period of time. And with our second, we started trying way earlier than planned. And we got pregnant the first try.
Oh my gosh.
So that is for a person who's a type A person. That was like scary in all the other ways because I was not ready. I did not want 2 kids under 2. I wanted a nice 3-year space between all my kids. And all of a sudden my kids were going to be 21 months apart and I didn't know what I was doing. Our toddler at the time was really challenging. And so that was hard. And I had a lot of issues during pregnancy mentally because I wasn't ready for that pregnancy. I wasn't thankful for that pregnancy where after you try and you guys have been on a much longer infertility journey than I had been. The baby, if you are able to get pregnant after an infertility journey, and then even in those little tiny baby years, you're so thankful. Like there's like a lot of thankfulness. I mean, it's not 100% of the time, but it's like, I was so happy I was throwing up. 5 days a week. And I was so thankful. I'm like, it means I have a healthy baby. Like I'll take being sick any day. I'm so thankful to be throwing up right now. Like anything was just so thankful. And my back hurts. I have prolapse. Like everything was like, but I have a baby. Like we're great. And then the second one, when it came too early, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like I do not want to be nauseous right now. I like want to be able to go to the gym. I can't do my job. There's this toddler that's crazy. So that's when I was like, this is why I didn't want to have kids. And that's when those thoughts started coming back because you're like, I knew that this was what parenthood was like. It was a dream. Like all pregnancy, the first year of our oldest life, it was a dream. It was literally a dream. Like everything was perfect. Everything was perfect. And like, I read all the baby books, 27 to be exact. I started reading the French parenting books because I had read so many American parenting books that I literally went over to the French side and started learning how other cultures did parenting. And I did everything right. Like it was just easy. And then with our second, I still did everything right, but it wasn't Easy. Like the same things that worked for our first didn't work for our second. He had allergies and like everything. Yeah. Like I just didn't know how to do things. I didn't know how to do things with a toddler and with a baby. So that was like the reality check that I think a lot of people experience maybe their first time around, when I was just in this like bliss as a first time. Like when people talked about having a hard time with motherhood, I'm like, not my kid. Like, nope, I have no idea. And I was so annoying. Like looking back, I'm like, how annoying was I? And like everything was so perfect. It was because I think I wanted it so bad that I couldn't look past the idea that anything could be hard.
Yeah.
And then with our third, it was a totally different story, because it was the middle of a pandemic. And we'll go into the story later on, but we got a Down syndrome diagnosis. And
did you receive the diagnosis during your pregnancy?
Yep, at week 20. So at the anatomy scan. So where most people find out if they're having a boy or a girl, we found out that we had multiple soft markers for chromosomal abnormalities. And that's when I was like, gosh, parenthood is really hard. Like here I'm thinking that allergies are tough. Now I might have a kid that either won't live, will be living, and will be dealing with all these issues. And I didn't know about Down syndrome at that time. I didn't know about trisomy 18 and 21 and all the different, I didn't know what they meant. So it was just a lesson in uncertainty and just having to kind of wait, which I'm not good at that whole wait and see.
No,
type of thing.
yeah, me either.
No.
I don't think type A people are.
No. So each of them was just so different. But it started off with not even knowing if I wanted to have kids. And now I have three.
And what's the age difference between your middle child and Owen?
2.5 years.
Okay. So you did like wait some time. Did you easily get pregnant with Owen?
Month 3. And a kind of behind the scenes story on that month. We like woke up that day. It was in December. December is the worst month in our household because my husband, he works like 90-hour weeks. And it was literally one of those days where it was the end of December. And I was like, if we don't get pregnant this month, I'm not doing this. And he's like, agreed. Like we are good with 2 kids. And then the next day I took a pregnancy test at night because I was having a bad day and I was crying uncontrollably the entire day. And I'm like, what is going on with me? And he's like, well, December kind of sucks for our family. I'm like, I know, but I don't cry like this. And sure enough, 7 p.m. at night, I had a positive pregnancy test. And I was like, well, here we go.
That's right.
Here we go.
Wow.
And then after Owen, you decided you were done?
I was done.
Because of 3 or because Owen was diagnosed with Down syndrome?
You know, that's a good question. My husband wants one more. Like he would still want one more.
Okay.
Yep. He would still want one more. I am mentally and physically very much complete with 3. I always say 2.5 kids would have been my perfect number, like going back. I don't know how that would actually work, but like I did not feel complete with 2, but 3 is too many. So I don't know what that means, but we got a dog too, and that didn't really work. Like that didn't count as a half kid. So people are like, "Oh, just get a dog and see if that works." No, it didn't really work that way.
It didn't work.
So I am very much done. And then he did get a vasectomy just 6 months ago. So we have like officially closed, at least between the 2 of us, with having babies.
Sure. Yeah.
What was your initial reaction when you found out about Owen's diagnosis?
I was really focused on the stats. So it was in the middle of the pandemic.
Like a type A person would be.
Yes, like
kind
the stats.
of, right?
So like, they gave me these numbers. And first of all, I wasn't even going to go to this appointment because it was an anatomy scan in the middle of the pandemic. And I'm like, you know what? I've done this 2 times already. I'll probably have an at-home birth because I've done this already. I don't need drugs. I know how to do this kind of a deal. And I was like, you know what? I haven't gone into the doctor this whole pregnancy. I should probably check on this baby. Like that's probably a good idea. And so I went in for the 20 week because it's a big appointment. We've never found out the sex of our babies. So that wasn't going to be any different either. And it just took so long. And I'm like, gosh, they've really leveled up their game since my first 2. Like they're really going thorough. And the tech kept leaving and coming back. I have to check on baby's heart one more time. To check on baby's brain one more time. I remember the words so well. And then all of a sudden she left, and then 4 completely masked people came in. I mean, like full on face masks, full on body suits. Like it was I was like, what is going on here? And they started saying these words. Yeah, it was terrifying. They started saying these words like chromosomal abnormalities, cyst on the brain, hole in the heart.
Oh my goodness.
Liver isn't connected, like all these things. I'm like, my baby, like my child. No, this can't be. And that's when they started.
Was your husband there with you?
No, it was me by myself because it's the pandemic.
Oh.
So I'm sitting here by myself getting this news and not knowing what it means. And then they said, you have a 1 in 30 chance that your baby will have a trisomy, one of the trisomies. And many of the trisomies don't make it through pregnancy.
Oh my goodness.
More of the trisomies don't make it past the first year of life.
Oh my goodness.
And then there's Down syndrome. So 1 in 30. And I kept on saying, okay, it's 1 in 30. That's like looking at a classroom. Okay. What are the chances that one kid in that classroom is mine? Not very high. Not very high. Like this isn't going to happen to me. And then because I was 34, almost 35. So when my baby was going to be born, I was going to be 35. They said, actually, you have a 1 in 3 chance because it goes up 10 times because of your age. And I said, well, I'm not really 35 though. I'm like a healthy 35. You know, I'm like a young 35. So I'm going to still just go with the whole 1 in 30, even though every time the doctor's like 1 in 3, 1 in 3, 1 in 3. So I was in denial. It was not going to be my kid. We did end up doing the amniocentesis because I'm like, I do need to know this, mostly for like extra care and because it's a very different doctor routine if you have a baby who is experiencing any kind of heart issues or brain issues in pregnancy. And so when the amniocentesis results came back, that's when I literally just went silent. And my husband went to research and we called a handful of people. And after we called a handful of people, we realized we should no longer call people. We should text them because they said all the wrong things on the phone because they were also surprised. It's not their fault. It's just like if you call somebody and you're like, hey, here's the worst, scariest news of my entire life. Like, how are they supposed to react? You know?
Yeah.
So send a text. Like if you get anything out of this episode, it's if you have really hard news, send a text to that person because I think that they can have time to just take a breath and think about what they're going to say instead of some of the really heartbreaking things that we heard in those first couple of phone calls. And I mean, the next couple of weeks were just like a blur. Like I stared at walls for hours and hours.
You can say no to this, but what is an example of terrible thing someone has said?
Yeah, no, this is good.
What is the wrong thing to say?
I love this question because it's so important because I've said these things. So these are the things that don't sound good as a person who receives this news. I know we're all different, but I've done a lot of research on this and talked to a lot of people, and we're all kind of in the same boat with many of them. One person went like this, no. And that was like, oh, okay. I feel the same way, but I didn't want you to feel that way. Like I wanted you to be my rock. One person just kept saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And it felt weird because I'm like, I'm not sorry that I'm having a baby. Like, no, this isn't my plan. Like, I'm sorry this wasn't your plan. Could have been a good follow-up.
Okay.
But like, I'm sorry you're having a baby. Like, it felt like a gut punch. Like, I'm not sorry. I want this baby, right? I want this baby. I want this baby. Yes. Even if this baby isn't perfect, I still want this baby. A lot of people.
And listeners, she said perfect in air quotes.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect in air quotes. Even if this baby's not quote unquote perfect. And then the other thing that came up a lot was, well, my friend had a positive in pregnancy and his baby turned out fine. Maybe they're wrong. Are you sure? They're probably wrong. And that just was like, I've already come to terms with this. And also you saying that their baby turned out normal. I was like, my baby's not going to turn out anyway besides what he or she is right now. So that doesn't really help. Like it doesn't help to live in the dark for the next 4 months in order to have the same outcome. Like that doesn't help. So those are things that really, really didn't help. Colin's dad, go ahead. Yeah, please do.
I was just going to say, I think you can continue on with the story, but when the doctors were saying 1 in 3, were they suggesting you end the pregnancy? Yes.
So afterwards you go into this room and they walk through all of your options. And the first option they bring up, well, they give you a bunch of pamphlets. And then the first option they bring up is, in the state of Wisconsin, you can have at the time an abortion up to week 22. You are currently
already at week 20
and 6 days.
Yeah.
So you have 7 days to make this decision. And that was,
my goodness.
I know. And that, luckily for me, was an easy decision. It was absolutely, this baby is my baby and I love this baby. Like that was an easy decision, which I know for not everybody, it's not an easy decision. And it's also hard because it felt like the doctor was pushing me in that direction.
Yeah.
Not because it was a bad doctor, but the doctor just had the stats in front of them. Right. And the doctor just had these are all the things that are wrong with your baby. Your baby has a hole in their heart. Your baby has a cyst on their brain. There is blood in their bowels. Their liver is not connecting. Like, these are all true statements for your baby. This is what you have as far as an option to terminate. So that was a no. But then the second follow-up options were, do you want to find out for sure with an amniocentesis if this baby has Down syndrome? Because at that point, we wouldn't have gotten the results back in time for the 22 week. And so that was like a really tricky thing. And that's why, like, if people are waiting until week 23 to have that anatomy scan, it can be kind of tricky if there's anything like that pops up. So yeah, fortunately for us, that was not going to be an option. But it can, and now I realize that can be really tricky, especially in some states and especially with some of those laws and regulations.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. You were going to say something about Colin's dad.
Yeah. And I was just saying, Colin's dad he responded in like the exact right way. And it was funny because, like, my father-in-law isn't somebody that you'd think of as being like this nurturing person that's like, oh, says everything right. Like, he's wonderful, but he's a father-in-law. Like, he's a father-in-law who's 60 years old. And he said something to the effect of, you know what? This wasn't part of what you guys had thought was going to happen. And we're going to love this baby. Like, you guys are going to be such great parents. We're going to love this baby. And we're being like, I'm tearing up thinking about it. We're like, you know what? We are. And he said the word we.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we are going to love this baby. Like, this whole family is going to love this baby. Like, we are a team right now because we will need extra help. So that felt really, really good. And that was like one of the saving graces in all of this. We're like, you know what? We got this. Like, we do have this.
That is precious.
Okay. Let's talk about something good.
Yes.
What are the best parts of parenting a child with Down syndrome?
Oh my goodness. And especially for somebody with our personality, is that they slow you down in a really good way. So people with Down syndrome do things slower. And it can be so annoying if you're trying to get out the door, but it can also be the best lesson on literally enjoying the heck out of this life. I mean, something as simple as a shower. Like, you watch our 4-year-old shower, and like every single thing is the most magical thing. Like putting the shampoo into your hand. Like, whoa, like this is amazing. Like, it feels so good on my hands. People with Down syndrome, many people with Down syndrome, including my son, also, like, they really like the feel of things. And his like senses are just really happy. Like, they're really like all the positive, I should say. Like, all of his senses are really positive. He like thinks things taste really good, and like they feel really good on his skin, and like they smell good, and so like just like little simple things, we enjoy the heck out of it because of him. Like, he makes us slow down enough to enjoy the tiny little things that we take for granted every day, like a hot shower. It's like the next time you're taking a hot shower, like literally think about it. Like the act of like putting shampoo into your hand is such like you got to put shampoo in your hand, but no, it's kind of a fun, like it feels gooey. It smells really good. Like it bubbles up. And so when I like look at life through his eyes on the little things and the big things, I realize like there are so many little joys in life that I had been taking for granted for 35 years of my life, 36 years of my life. And so I think that's like the number one lesson, is just like slowing down and really enjoying it.
I love that.
I do too. That's so great.
I do love that. Yeah. What about like, I feel like personally, that's a big one for you, but what about like with Colin and with the two older kids, like any major changes that you would say in a positive way that happened to your family?
Well, now we like look for inclusion. Like we are just a man, woman, mom and dad family that have kids. We are all white. We live in suburbia Madison. Like we are a very like plain Jane family. Our friends look a lot like us. Our friends think a lot like us. Like everything was just kind of like, yep, we're all in this. I mean, there's obviously like different choices and different opinions, but it was just very much like the same. And bringing him in, I mean, not only is our family like looking for more inclusive, everyone who was around him does too. Like his friends and his brother and sister. Well, it's funny because like his sister thinks he's the most magical thing in the world. Like she tells the person at, the Target checkout, like, my brother has Down syndrome. You know what that means? It means he's extra special. Like he has more than you and I have as far as like love in this world. And then his big brother literally thinks of him as just any normal Joe Schmo, which is a good combination because like his older brother isn't going to let him get away with anything. Like if he steals his toy, he's going to push him down. Whereas his sister's like, we gotta help him out. Like we gotta help him more. So the combination has been really wonderful to see. And then his friends, like in our groups of friends, like kids, these children are growing up knowing that Owen has Down syndrome and have so many good questions with a kid who is really cute and has Down syndrome. Because I think like a lot of like especially what I grew up with is that people with special needs were secluded in our school. There was like a special wing hallway. That's not how it is anymore, at least not in our neighborhood. Like he's in school with everyone else. And so they're all growing up being like, oh, Owen is just Owen. Like his tongue hangs out. We can't understand what he's saying, but he has a joke for everything. He dances all the time. He makes sure he helps every single person who comes through that door. Like they see him for him and not just for a diagnosis. And I think that's a really important lesson, especially in childhood, because then we don't fear these diagnoses. We instead that's just who he is. Everyone has something. He just happens to have Down syndrome.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. I love that.
Do you feel like you could pinpoint a most rewarding moment on this journey being a parent to Owen?
Oh gosh, rewarding. I mean, right when he was born was pretty darn magical. And now I'm part of organizations where I talk with pregnant women who are terrified like how I was. And one of the stories I tell is like when he came out, he got onto my chest and we're like, oh, he's a boy. It's a boy. Okay. And then right away, I like looked at the doctors because I'm like, are you going to take my baby away from me? Because he had a hole in his heart and he had a brain cyst and he had, bloody intestines. And they like checked him. And they're like, no, he's good. He's good. And so his health, like everything just like changed when he came out, and all the worrying and anticipation and fear. Like my baby stayed with me. We didn't have a NICU stay. We were in the hospital for just one extra day, mostly because I wanted it, because I'm like, I don't want to go back to having 3 kids on the house to take care of. So like everything that the doctors had been like, this is what's going to happen. You're going to, this is what's possible. We packed for a 3-week NICU stay. Like I literally packed multiple suitcases for multiple people to be at the hospital. And so just to know that kind of and the vice versa of like, it is just a stat. Like all the negatives are also just a stat. Like your baby is going to be your baby, and not a whole lot's going to change that. And I think that was rewarding because I'm like, I couldn't have changed anything in that. Like I didn't do anything differently, but it wasn't scary. Like this isn't scary. So I think that, and I know not everyone has that same experience in special needs parenting, but right from the start, I'm like, it doesn't have to be scary. It can be wonderful, or you can grow into realizing that it's not so scary. And I think that there's been certain times, like every time he's learned something new, like when he learned how to walk, and it was 4 months earlier than, a standard kiddo with Down syndrome learns how to walk. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like he's going to be an Olympic athlete. Like let's go, kind of a deal. Like and it's just like giving him so much credit for all these little things that I honestly took for complete granted when it was with my older 2. I was like, oh, they're just going to learn to walk. They're just going to learn to talk. Like, yes, it's celebratory and exciting, but it's like one day and okay, I'm on to the next thing. Nothing's on to the next thing with Owen. I'm like enjoying these baby phases. I'm enjoying, for the most part, the toddler phases. I'm enjoying these things because you don't know when they're going to happen. And when they do happen, it's a really big deal.
Did Owen have to have heart surgery or okay, so there wasn't a hole in his heart.
The hole in the heart made it so small that he didn't end up needing to have heart surgery.
Okay.
The issue with his liver, the week before his surgery was scheduled, we did an MRI and it had closed up and had gone completely normal. The brain cyst, it completely evaporated or whatever happens with brain cyst when he was born. Like literally it was like thing after thing after thing. So the only surgeries he's had are 2 sets of ear tubes, which is like a normal kid thing. Yeah. And then randomly his testicles had to like be pulled down. I'm like, what? Sure. I didn't even realize that was a thing. And everyone's like, oh, actually, like, my son had that and my son that had that. And
out of everything, it's like, his testicles had to be pulled down.
Surgeries are like typical boy surgeries and nothing else has been an issue.
Wow.
He is a miracle.
Like such a miracle, like such a miracle. These kids are seriously miracles.
Has there been challenges?
Yes. So was a big time biter for a long time. And what I didn't realize is that if a child doesn't learn to talk for a long time, it's easier to like use their fists or use their mouth. And so not just for kids with Down syndrome, but then also for a typical kid, he still doesn't have a whole lot of English spoken words. He does sign language and he does a lot of pointing. But he was a biter for a long time and it was embarrassing and it was scary because we'd go to parks and I'd be like surveying the group of people being like, is he going to bite somebody? Following him around nonstop. Yeah. I'm not a helicopter parent and I've felt like I've had to become a helicopter parent with him, which is just, it goes against my natural instinct of being individualistic and like wanting my kids to be independent. Yeah. He can't be independent. Like he can't be independent and be safe in every situation is what I should say. He can be independent, but being safe right now is the number one priority. So biting is one. And then he likes to escape. So it's like kind of a like joke, but it's also very scary. So like I see both sides of it. So I'll have nervous laughter during this, but I mean, we're registered with the Waunakee Police Department because he's ran away so many times. All of our neighbors now know. We have a special Angel Sense tracking device that we hook up to him if we're ever going anywhere that we need it. Because elopement is like his specialty and he's a silent ninja. So he just leaves the house.
Oh, he's good at it.
He's really good. So we have alarms on all of our doors. We have locks that are up high.
Oh yeah.
Like we have the things in place and
he's 4.
Bulletproof. And he's 4. And he's
4. So this could potentially just get worse if we don't learn that it's not safe.
Exactly. So
how do your other kids, like, how do they help with making sure the doors are locked? And
Lucy like loves to be with him until she doesn't. So like she's an 8-year-old and she's an 8-year-old firstborn girl. So I can relate a lot to the 8-year-old firstborn girl personality. And she will be like, I'll watch him. And she's like watching him like a hawk for 30 minutes when I can like make dinner or like if I like want to get a shower in and not have him be in the bathroom with me. And then 10 minutes will go by and like I'll go run downstairs and just check and she's playing with them and it's great. And then all of a sudden one time she'll be like, I don't want to play with them anymore. And she doesn't hand him off. And so you have to do like a handoff. Like with Owen, you have to do a handoff. Like I'm not watching him anymore. Like who's in charge of him? Because somebody has to be in charge of him. We were playing just a couple weeks ago. We were playing Ghost in the Graveyard outside and he was on Lucy's team. And then Lucy wanted to hide in a really cool spot that Owen couldn't hide in because he was giggling too much. And then Owen ended up at the neighbor's house about 7 doors down in the middle of the night. And it was, or not in the middle of the night, but it was pitch black out because it's Wisconsin and there's no sunlight after 4:30 p.m. So she like walked him down and she's like, I know. And I'm like bawling like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I thought he was hit
So
by a
Lucy
car.
didn't do a handoff.
She did not do the handoff on purpose because she didn't want anyone to find her.
Oh, sure.
Okay. You know? She's like, why would I have handed him off? I didn't want anyone to find me. So those are the issues that we're dealing with. Yes.
Okay.
It seems like you have a really great sense of humor around how, I mean, this is very hard, but you're like, what other, obviously your sense of humor is getting you through. Are there other strategies? You talked about your morning routine that you have.
Yeah. And like control the controllables, And this is with everything in life.
Controllables.
Because there are so much in this life that we can't control that we give way too much credit for. It's like, you can't control if it's going to be warm or cold tomorrow. Okay. But you can control what you put on your body. So the same thing happens with Owen. Like, what can we control? We can control the alarms on our house. We can control the babysitters who we hire. We can control the things like the handoffs. We can't control when he's going to decide to escape. So that's going to be the anomaly in all of this. But what can we do in order to help out?
Oh, yeah. Shannon was just saying we should have had you on for our episode 3 when we talked about calm the control, because you're talking to 2 people here that like to control the uncontrollables when we were trying to have a baby.
Yes. Well, yes.
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 I like the control the controllables though.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had said that Owen wears an angel scent. For those parents that don't know what this is, can you explain it? Because I also hear you saying like he was 7 doors down and I kind of freaked out. Like I didn't, you know, neighbor walked him down and he was safe and okay. But what is an angel scent?
Yeah, it's a little tracker that we put in his pocket and then make sure that it stays in his pocket, and it tracks on your phone where he is. So we at first used it when he was going to 4K to make sure he was getting on, because he had a transfer bus. So to make sure that he was actually transferring onto that bus. Right. Like especially for somebody who likes to elope, making sure that he got from one bus off that bus onto the next bus and then into school. So something that could be so simple for another kid was something that was like a major source of anxiety for our family. And so after multiple days of it working out, we're like, okay, he's doing great. He's easily doing this. So I was able to track it in real time and make sure that he was getting to his place safely. We also, like, anytime we're at any place that has a lot of people, because he can't talk to other humans. He knows how to talk with us, but if someone doesn't know sign language, he's not going to be able to communicate with them. He doesn't know our phone number. So it's really easy just to be able to be like, okay, we're right here. It shows that it's within, like 10, in this vicinity. Keep on looking for the little boy with Down syndrome. Look for the little boy with Down syndrome. Okay, there he is. But then you can also see if he's much, much further away. So it's been nice just for peace of mind to know where he is. We're not perfect with it because it's not attached to his body. Like, I'm like, if I had to have this like microchipped into him, is that even legal? Like, that'd be wonderful. Like, I know like our dog has it like under her tongue, I think. I'm like, can I do that?
Yeah.
But
I feel like we should be allowed to do that to all children.
Right?
Personally, especially like 15, 16-year-olds.
Yes, especially then.
You can get this taken out when you're 18, but it stays in.
Oh, yes. It's just, it calms the mind. It calms the mind a whole lot knowing that they're there.
Any other challenges that you can think of that would be helpful to talk about just to help other listeners or parents know that it's going to be okay?
Yeah. Well, and with Down syndrome, he looks like, you can tell that he has Down syndrome. When you're dealing with things like anxiety disorders or autism, some of the other special needs, I think it's harder in some ways because someone might look at that child and be like, why are they acting up? Where with Down syndrome, I feel like we get a pass sometimes because like, oh, that kid obviously has Down syndrome. No wonder he bit my kid. And so it's hard because I'm like, I don't want it to be the, for every normal thing, I don't want him to get a pass in life.
Sure.
Right. But at the same time, there are things that are just so much harder for our family. And so like having just a little bit of grace for, if you see a child with special needs, having a little bit of grace for that family, knowing they are probably trying their hardest. They may have, this may be like day 5 in a row of them not getting any sleep and having so many issues. Like they're going through a lot. Everyone is dealing with some kind of battle. Everyone's dealing with some kind of battle. I mean, think about even an infertility journey. Like you probably looked so normal on the outside, but you were like crushed and broken on the inside. We are all dealing with some kind of battle. And I think that's a really good lesson just for other people around, especially in these unique situations.
Yes, agreed.
It's part of being human.
It's part of being human. It's part of being human.
Yeah.
So how do you find the balance between like taking care of Owen, taking care of your other 2 kids, taking care of yourself?
Yeah, the first year, being a wife, keeping a house clean, like making sure the dog gets walked. The first year of life was really hard because Owen was getting multiple hours of therapy and clinic visits every single week. And so I did change my job at that time. So I went part-time at work and then ended up doing the Hercel podcast full-time, which was a saving grace for our family because I would not have been able to keep my corporate traveling job at the same time as having him. And there was times where I was like, I'm spending so much time with Owen and not my other kids. Like so much one-on-one time with Owen, and he's not even going to remember it. Like that was like the big like mom guilt side. I'm like, oh, he doesn't even like think of this as a special day. Like I don't even think of this as a special day. Like this is work for me going to these therapy appointments. And so that was really hard. And then after the first year, it got so much better. And so I remind special needs parents of that as well, is that in the first year, especially with Down syndrome, there's so many appointments, and it does just get easier in most cases after that first year.
Is it why? Just because they just want to make sure everything's okay? And then.
Yep. And so like that first year, it's like there's multiple heart appointments, and then you graduate from heart at some point. With liver, there's so many liver appointments, and then you graduate from liver at some point. Like so you graduate from these, and then you only go, instead of once a month, you go once a quarter. And then you go once a year. And now we're good for heart for 3 years. So we don't have to go back to the cardiologist for 3 years. I know. So like, it's one of those things that's like, it's such a big deal, because I'm like, I was going there every single month for a little while there just to make sure. And it's a lot. It's just a lot to add into a schedule.
I mean, how could you work a full-time job and do all of that?
You hire somebody, like you have somebody else taking your child, or you have a flexible job where you can work from your phone. But what I learned is that I was literally multitasking every minute of my life. And it's a habit, unfortunately, that I haven't given up. So even though I have more time now, and like you could probably relate to, like, even though I have more time now, I'm okay. I have 7 minutes in the waiting room. I should get through all my emails that I can. Like, even though it's like, no, you can actually just chill for a second too. That would be okay.
You can take
like
7 minutes.
You're a human being, not a human doing. It's okay to just be every once in a while. But we don't give ourselves that option sometimes, and it makes our nervous system go on overdrive. And I think a lot of women, a lot of mothers are living in this like constant state of doing, and it's making us, it doesn't feel good. We're getting sick from it. We're getting anxious from it. We are getting impatient from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the future with Owen.
Yes.
And like, what are your dreams? What are your hopes? What do you envision his future to be?
Yeah. And I'm glad you said dreams and hopes, because the future is honestly what I fear most with having a child with Down syndrome. Because at this point, I'm like, I got that first year. Like I figured that out. You know what? I have this right now. Yes, he runs away and we've kind of figured it out, but I'm like, I have no idea what this life looks like from 18 on. And so I want what I want for my other kids with him. I want him to be educated, and we are setting aside money for him to go to college, even though some people are like, why would you do that? He has Down syndrome. And I'm like, I want him to have the option. So if he wants to go to school with that money, and maybe it's a tech school, maybe it's a trade school, maybe it's a higher education school in a different way.
I think there are plenty of Down syndrome. Yeah. Yes. I think that just having that label doesn't hinder you from attending college.
I agree. So if I want to have that option, like our other kids, and you know what? One of my other kids might not want to go to college. Maybe they'll want to be in theater, or maybe they'll want to do something else. I'm like, it's not any different with him than with the others. I want him to find love. I want him to be able to find love with a man or a woman who loves him for exactly who he is and respects him who he is, and whatever that may entail. Will there be some challenges with it? Possibly. Will we help him work through that, just like we will with our 16-year-old teenage daughter that will also have challenges with love? Absolutely. Like I thought of it as being so different with a kid with special needs, and I'm like, there's actually a lot more similarities than there are differences with so much of this. I would love for him to find an awesome job that he absolutely loves, something that he's good at, something that uses his unique skill set. He's such a friendly person that I'm like, more places need a smiling face that like literally unconditionally is smiling, unless he's tired or hungry, which same. Like if I'm tired or hungry, I'm not going to be right. And that is a gift that Owen has brought, is that I know not every person with Down syndrome is so happy. And yes, he gets crabby, but he's like type B to the max, which we can't relate with, but like everything's always going to be okay. Everything's always going to be okay. And it's such a nice little lesson and gift that he brings to our future.
Yes. Everybody needs an Owen in their life to feel that, to understand that. Yeah.
Do you feel like there are any changes you would hope to see in society around acceptance and inclusion for people with autism?
Yeah.
Or with Down syndrome.
You're very,
That's that always rolls out of my mouth, doesn't it?
Well, and it's interesting because dual diagnosis is actually quite common. So many people with Down syndrome also have autism. Owen is not showing signs of that, but many of his friends and in the groups that we're with, it is a dual diagnosis. And I think with society, like, I'm so glad Owen was born today instead of 38 years ago when I was born, because I would not want him to have grown up in the city and conditions in society that I was in. I mean, I knew of one person who went to my church who had Down syndrome, and I just knew of him. And then there was the special needs hallway. That was literally like the special needs hallway. And like, I can like just think about like the mean things that were said, the slang that was said, that now when people say that kind of slang, many people are like, you don't say that anymore. Like, you don't say that anymore. It's like one of those things.
You sound very ignorant if you do.
Very ignorant. Yeah. Like we don't say the R word. Like we just don't. That's not something to say. Like even in like pop culture, like the words in music 20 years ago is so much different than now. Like it's just words that you don't use. And I just want that to continue. Like the words, there's so much power in words and phrases. And I think that more people using the right terminology, which is kind of scary. And that's why I like having these conversations, because people are like, wait, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. And I'm like, cool, ask me. Like, let's have this conversation, because I didn't know what to say either. And like one of the words, like one of the lines is like, oh, you're Down syndrome baby. And instead we say your baby with Down syndrome, because it's just one piece of him, not all of him. And so that's like a really easy way that we can change our verbiage, that instantly it's like, oh yeah, Owen, the one who has Down syndrome, instead of that Down syndrome kid. So it's just like a nice way that, in the Down syndrome community, changes like that.
Yeah. So in my career path, so a little background, used to be a special education teacher. Now I'm an assistant parent coach. And in this role as like a parent coach and a consultant for schools, learning a lot about ableism.
Yes.
And so just a lot of like the ableistic behaviors that we don't know that we're doing, right? And so one of the things, and I would love your opinion on this, is the hero mentality of it's prom and I'm going to ask somebody who has Down syndrome to prom because then I'm going to be the hero, or we're going to, as a school community, all vote for this child or this person who has Down syndrome to be prom king or queen. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. And that's a hard one, because it looks like
it's a hard one for me too. And this is why I'm asking, is because I feel like I'm on the fence about this.
And I think I would back it up with, are you inviting that person because they have Down syndrome? Or are you inviting that person because you like to be with them, you enjoy their company, and they happen to have Down syndrome? Like, is the reason behind the invite because of their disability? Then I think that's wrong. And I also would say the same thing with, being like, this person is the prom king only because they have Down 100%. Syndrome. But if that person is the one that cheers for everybody and is at every single sporting event and is friends with all and stands up for the bully and that's the reason they are being crowned prom king, I think that's a great reason to be prom king.
Thank you for that. I think Jess and I share in that thought process.
Well, and it's hard because people will send me stuff on Instagram. I'm like, oh my gosh, can you believe this? And I'm like, oh, because it's like,
yes, I can believe that, because it doesn't need to be about Down syndrome.
Right.
It's about the person as a human. And if the person as a human outside of a label is being crowned prom king, then that's why they should be crowned prom king, not because of the label.
Yep. And I would also say that many people with Down syndrome could be prom king, because they probably are cheering for everybody. They are the friend to all. They are kind and considerate. They're standing up for the bully. Like, they are doing all those things that you want to put them on a pedestal, because those are amazing qualities to have. It's not because they have Down syndrome. It's because of qualities that they could get that type of role.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. It's the reason behind. I have one more question too, actually.
Okay.
because Shannon and I basically have the same exact resume, and I was a special ed teacher as well. But when I would get new students, I would oftentimes share the poem "Welcome to Holland," and have you heard it?
Sure have. Yep.
And I mean, the gist of it is a parent feels like they're trying to get this baby when they're born, but instead get a different type of baby when they're born. And they relate it to going on vacation. They were supposed to go to, I think, Italy, but ended up going to Holland. So I was just sort of wondering your perception of that reading, and like, how does that land for you when you read it?
You know what? I love that poem because of my control over things. And so I think that it resonated with me because very, very specifically, it spoke to me because I'm like, I wanted Italy. I planned for Italy. I read 27 baby books / guidebooks for Italy. Like I had, my itinerary was bullet pointed with other bullet points underneath that for Italy. Like I knew Italy, and now I can know Holland. And Holland has the windmills, and it has the Rembrandts, and it has, the big, beautiful flowers. Like Holland has all these things. It's a slower pace than Italy. We're going to be, waking up a little bit later than Italy. Everything is a little bit different than Italy, but it's still a wonderful place. And so I think that it helped me because I was so Italy, like I was so planned and perfect for Italy that I wasn't even thinking about the beautiful things that Holland could offer. But I do know that not everyone feels that way about that poem. And I love having those conversations where I'm like, you know what? I'm hoping that you find a resource that does work for you. And that's the beautiful thing with any challenge in life, is that one challenge could have two solutions that are both equally good. It's just not right for every person.
Yeah, right. I love that. What other resources have you found that are right for you or groups?
Yes. So Jack's Basket is a beautiful organization. I'm actually a volunteer for them now, where you get a free basket and you can send it to anybody who has a new Down syndrome diagnosis. And it came with some of the most beautiful resources and poems and books and baby toys. And it was a big congratulations into the group, which we call ourselves the lucky few, because there's not very many of us, but we sure are lucky. And then Jack's Basket, it also comes with a parent connection. So you would be connected with somebody like me, where you can ask questions, and you can, like, on the really crappy days, you have a person that you can talk to. On the really great days, there's a person that you can confide in with, like, the good news as well. And then if there's
so nice to have someone that gets it.
Yes.
Shannon and I talk about that a lot in relation to our infertility and adoption stories, because it's just, when somebody gets it, it makes so much of a difference.
Well, right. And like, even with adoption, like, I wouldn't know the first thing to say with, like, oh my gosh, like, where are you in the process? I'm like, I would be kind about it, I'd be kind, but then I'm like, wait, is that offensive? Like, are they going to be like, oh, it's been 4 years. Like, so like, you just,
exactly.
and it's
God damn it, I don't want to talk about this.
I'm so sorry. Like, I don't want to screw up. But that's the thing, is that, like, I felt like people around me were always so worried about screwing up, when I'm like, no, let's learn together. Let's learn together. You are learning this information as a friend of mine for the first time. I'm learning it as a parent for the first time. Let's figure this out together. Because if you live in the world of, like, I'm always going to screw up, then you don't actually learn. And so what 2020 taught us about so many things is that we actually have to learn in order to get past the scary hurdle that we have. So, definitely Jack's Basket. And then Gigi's Playhouse. They offer so many free and low cost therapy and groups. I mean, we've met some of our closest lucky few friends. One of our dearest friends, my husband, officiated their wedding, and 6 months after Owen was born, they birthed the baby with Down syndrome. It was like this crazy, like, how in the world does this happen? She's far younger than I am. So like her NIPT came back negative. Like, it was just all these things, like, how in the world is this actually happening, that two of us so close both have babies with Down syndrome? But we've been able to meet up there quite a few times, and Gigi's Playhouse is another awesome organization for that.
Thank you.
And then the book Bloom is also great. So there's a lot of really awesome resources on Instagram. But yeah, Bloom is from a woman who had a at birth diagnosis. And so it talks about the first year of her life with having a baby with Down syndrome with an at-birth diagnosis. And I literally cried the entire time through the whole book of like tears that needed to be released. So don't plan on going anywhere fun after you're reading those chapters because like you will be red and blotchy. But it's almost like it's very cathartic to be able to like hear somebody's thoughts and realize that you're not the only one having those thoughts.
Yeah. Are there a lot of groups on like Facebook and Instagram? And
so there are a lot of groups, and I think that that's really helpful for people that maybe don't have the in-person connection with, a friend or a Gigi's Playhouse. And then even just being able to like, I think for anybody listening right now, following people that look different than you, following families that look different than yours, I think that's a wonderful way to learn, because I look at these photos. I'm not even kidding you guys. When I go through Instagram right now, I don't always know if the baby has Down syndrome or is a typical child, because I'm so infused with Down syndrome right now that like babies kind of look the same to me. And like, that's like to the point where I'm like, I literally don't notice the difference, because like, I'm like, wait, does that kid have Down syndrome? And my husband's like, no, that kid just has like really pudgy face. I'm like, oh, whoops. Okay. Like here, I thought they had a baby with Down syndrome. I was going to reach out. Like, okay, that probably wouldn't have been the best thing to do. So like, I had to like double check myself, being like, I just think that everyone now has a kiddo with special needs. Like, it's almost to the point where I'm like, you might have a kid with special needs or you might not. I like don't notice the difference when I'm looking at you. And I like being in that boat.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you feel like our listeners need to know that we haven't asked about?
It's just because it's different doesn't make it wrong. And just because the plan isn't as you prepared it to be doesn't mean it's not going to be better than the one that you thought. And whether you're religious or believe in a higher power or believe just like in like yourself and like being your best version of yourself, sometimes we need that challenge in order to reach our fullest potential or to reach the thing that we were actually supposed to do in life. And I think that having a kiddo with special needs or having any challenge with babies and becoming a mother in general, I think it does that for us. It challenges us in the ways that we needed to do in order to become the humans that we were supposed to become.
I definitely can agree with that.
I was going to say that could just be the ending quote right there by Abby Green. Unless you have one that you want. That encompassed this whole episode.
It really did. And I think it
very good message.
It encompasses my life now. Like I think that, and like you guys went through the same type of thing with having your experience becoming mothers. And just because it's different than what you thought or different than your neighbor and all of your friends and your best and your sister-in-law and whoever's down the street, just because it's different doesn't make it wrong, first of all. And also like sometimes it can be the best thing, the absolute best thing for us. Those little differences make life kind of fun. Like how boring would life be if I would have done the life that I thought I was going to live? Like I think about that often. I'm like,
Yeah.
You know what? Like that's cool. Like the Christmas card looks absolutely perfect. And I have no challenges in life. And I'm still doing my corporate America job and still yes, that would have been a fine life. And it's so much more exciting and fulfilling now.
Thank you for listening and being a part of our community. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If you'd like to connect, we can be reached at podcastfromtheretohere@gmail.com. We hope you continue on this journey with us.